Today was another red day for the semiconductor industry. I mean, some of the players I'm looking at right now, AMD, Intel, Nvidia, are all down for the day. Numerous things happened today. Obviously, the most important, high inflation. But what we're seeing a lot in the semiconductor industry continues to happen. More downgrades, more price target reductions. So I want to take a closer look at those in today's episode. I also want to take a quick look at PC shipment numbers that came out a few days ago. We're also going to take a quick look at Intel, a new expansion, and some recent news on AMD's new product that should be hitting the shelf soon. If this is your first time here, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for free Discord, free newsletter, and a lot of great investing links. So if we jump into the screen, we can see Nvidia entered the day down 1.8%. And in year to date, it is down 28.6%. We take a quick look at Intel. Intel closed pretty much flat for the day. In the past 5 days, it's pretty much flat. I want to say this is one that hasn't really taken much of a hit from the overall impact in the market right now. This is also a stock that has been beaten down a lot. Year to date is down about 12.6%. Now, if we take a quick look at AMD, that one closed about 2.3% down on the day, and year to date, this one has taken quite a hit. It's down over 36.7%. So first, let's take a quick look at what's happening, and it's pretty much the same that we're seeing right now. Price target reduction in semiconductor industries for numerous reasons. One of those being is the reduction of consumer spending. And I do want to say, as more downgrades happen, I do believe the volatility for semiconductor companies will kind of start to be a lot less. The reason being is, right, the semiconductor industry to some extent has been kind of the golden child recently with semiconductor shortage. Nothing wrong can happen in the semiconductor industry, so let's price them like crazy, right? And then out of nowhere, we start seeing all these analysts really start to worry about consumer spending. So then you start to see your initial action of analysts reducing stock price. And that's like, hey, wait, I thought this was a company that was, or this was a sector that was kind of golden at the moment. So now that we have all this risk, let's actually kind of price it with those risks. And as more analysts and more analysts downgrade, I do believe that risk has kind of already somewhat been incorporating it. So I do believe it does kind of create maybe some buying opportunities for those that are wanting long-term investments. And we can see today, April 12th, KeyBank maintains their overweight on Nvidia, but lowers the price target to $310, and this was from their previous target of $350. And the analysts also shared some semiconductor thesis of why they believe this price target is justifiable. And I do want to say, sometimes even though we are bullish in stock prices, it is okay to at least try to listen and try to learn. So I wanted to do that. So first, they believe that the supply chain right now is kind of mixed. Their first thing is there is a softness in consumer PC and the smartphone end markets. And that's something that we have talked about a lot in this channel. So it's not something that we've kind of really, that's new to us, right? Especially for those viewing. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and keep listening for this great offer we have for the community. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investments. So I'm proud to partner with the Motley Fool to bring you a discount for one of my favorite services the Fool offers, the Motley Fool Stock Advisor. Go to fool.com/Jose to sign up and get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 new picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock Advisor has been a market-beating service, so what are you waiting for? Thanks again for the Motley Fool. Now on to today's points. Another thing the analyst mentions is overall COVID lockdowns in China and how that is affecting supply chains. Within Nvidia, one of the biggest theses that they see is they see broader weakness in Europe due to hyperinflation concerns from Russia and Ukraine. So this is why I mentioned eventually these stock prices and downgrades start to become less impactful to the overall stock price because a lot of these risks have already been mentioning. So yesterday's stock price in Nvidia, for example, dropped to over 5% on the same style of news, right? The overall slowdown in consumer market, the slowdown in Russia, slowdown in China. So today we see similar results from another analyst, but today the stock price only dropped about 1.9%, showing that, hey, maybe the volatility of these downgrades are not as heavily as they were previously weighted. But we do have analysts kind of also shooting the other side of the spectrum, a little bit more bullish, where this kind of Bank of America securities analyst mentioned that they believe the weakness concerns related to the gaming market, is overdone. Again, this is where Nvidia's consumer products are, their gaming graphics cards. So they believe it's overdone, and they believe that investors aren't taking into account the other supportive trends. Something we mentioned: artificial intelligence, the automotive market, cloud providers, data centers, and how that market is still spending a nice amount of money. Again, the real question is not if consumer spending is going down. That's something that we can see right now slowing down. The real question is, can the other markets like data centers, like cloud providers, like the automotive market be growing at enough rate to kind of offset this slowdown? And with all this kind of volatility happening with Nvidia, I have no intentions of selling. I do want to purchase more shares, but it's already a top 3 position in my portfolio, and I'm really looking for a little bit lower prices before I really start to get into Nvidia a little bit more and kind of increase that exposure. Maybe if I didn't have any kind of exposure into Nvidia right now, would be more of times where I would do more of a small dollar cost averaging and start getting some skin in the game. But as a big position right now, I'd rather personally wait with other for lower prices because I am pretty happy with my position size. Now, if we take a quick look, IDC on April 11th kind of showed us a little bit about global shipments of traditional PCs, which include desktops, notebooks, workstations, and they do mention that they declined about 5.1% in the first quarter of 2022. But it did exceed earlier forecasts, so there's some good and bad news there. It is important to remember that the PC market is coming off 2 years of double-digit growth. So while the first quarter decline is a change in momentum, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a downward spiral. The market could just be taking a break. But again, this kind of goes with everything that we're seeing of consumer spending slowing down, and why we're seeing a bit of semiconductor companies, especially those that deal with the consumer market, are seeing quite a pull down. All right, next I want to take a quick look at Intel's expansion. They recently announced the grand opening of their Oregon plants. They kind of made an extension, and this was about a $3 billion investment. And this investment is going to do really great things. It increased their overall clean room capacity, and clean room capacity is definitely needed for their research and development. And I have kind of read that this kind of Oregon plant is one of their biggest plants for the kind of the research and development phases. This kind of overall is going to help them improve and kind of focus in their next generation of fabrications. For example, the 20A, Intel 20A, which is going to be Intel's kind of 5 nanometer processing unit, and then the Intel 18A, which is going to be Intel's 5 nanometer plus. So again, it's just showing that, hey, Intel is focusing and making sure that, hey, that research and development continues to be strong for this company, because they are kind of falling back from AMD. AMD is taking a nice amount of market share in data centers, in overall consumer market. So they want to make sure they are innovating. So some great news if you are an Intel investor there. Now, if we take a quick look at AMD, AMD is expecting to release a new product to the consumer market later next week, and that is going to be the Ryzen 5800X3D, and that is going to come with an AMD's new technology, the 3D V-Cache technology, which is something that they're kind of doing here in the consumer space for the first time in their processor, something they've also released in their kind of clouding processor. So I definitely want to take a closer look at some benchmarks when those come out. Again, this is nothing big for AMD in forms of stock price movement, but it just kind of shows that, hey, this is constantly releasing new products, which is great for the consumer market. Unfortunately, like we mentioned, consumer market might be slowing down a bit. So something like this is something that can help us kind of dictate how much that slowdown is really there, and is there still an appetite for the consumer products, especially in the PC world. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.